What's up, gamers? It's your boy Alex, and today we're using an intro that I've wanted to use for some time, even though it's super cringe, and we're going to be talking about the top 11 best decks in Marvel Snap. And if you'd like to support the content, as always, consider hitting that like button and making sure that you are subscribed. If you're new here, welcome to Marvel Snap. Don't know what you're doing here, probably can't build any of this shit, but at least maybe the budget deck you can build, which is exactly why I include it. The budget-based Patriot deck is running a 58% win rate, 0.31 cube rate, which is honestly pretty solid. What you see here is a deck that features the recently nerfed Cosmo. Cosmo is now a 4/6 and is still seeing play here, which is kind of neat. I am interested to see like how the meta is going to shape up over the next couple of weeks while this imbalance patch, which is largely what it is still in effect. To be very clear for those that are kind of confused, the intention for Second Dinner is to revert many of the changes that they made. Like if you think about like Killmonger and you think about Red Guardian, and they got completely punted, right? Completely punted. And I'm sure that to some degree, a lot of those are going to come back. And so until then, enjoy what is a pretty interesting and diverse metagame for the most part, especially over these next couple days. But long story short, Budget Patriot does represent a solid choice if you're looking to not break the bank and rank up. Obviously, the cube rate is not as high as some of the ones we'll be speaking about here, but this is a really relatively inexpensive deck that actually runs Scarlet Witch, which kind of surprised me, to be honest with you, but the stats don't lie. So if you want to play something budget-oriented, Budget Patriot is going to do exactly that for you, coming in as the budget-based deck. Now, if you want to play Bastion, this is currently the highest performing Bastion deck according to Untapped-based statistics from the OTA and onwards, and it is a Bastion Victoria Hand Shell. I was kind of expecting Cerebro 3 to be the better performer, but here we are with something that's actually pretty unique, and I was excited to showcase because we've been talking about Victoria Hand quite a bit, and it's been excellent. Victoria Hand has definitely seen a massive resurgence in the meta. Not even resurgence, it's having its moment, realistically. In this deck, I wanted to showcase because not only is it performing well at a 56% win rate, which may be on the lower side from a win rate perspective, but still solid, but it has a great cube rate of 0.42. This is running Quake, it's running Rogue, it has the recently nerfed Shadow King in it, all of which are unironic and up to date with the stats, and so I found this particularly interesting. Rogue, perhaps to smoke some of those ongoing decks, and of course the Cerebros. And with that being said, like Quake can really mess up Cerebro players as well when you flip locations that they try to be avoiding, and Cerebro tends to be relatively popular still. So anyways, Bastion Victoria Hand, 56% win rate, 0.42 cube rate. It's currently the top performing Bastion shell if you're looking to get those sweet, sweet tokens. Going to number 9, we have Ajax. Now, this should be of no surprise to anybody. Ajax has always been meta relevant, although the cube rate feels like it's a little on the lower side at 0.31, despite the 57% win rate. The current top performing version of Ajax is the Wiccan Domino Quicksilver version, and I find it very interesting that since the buff to Domino going from a 2/3 to a 2/4, it's been unironically seen play, like legitimately seen play. And yeah, this deck is solid. And one of my favorite cards in this deck actually is Malekith, because one of my things while I was testing this list is when you have Quicksilver Domino, you tend to be like you have a lot of cards kind of being held back because they're denying your first two draws. If you happen to have Malekith, you're then digging into the deck for the Nick Cage, for the Hazmat, and etc. Even a Speed, right? Like this deck is played so effectively on curve for the most part. Speed's a great choice as well. Omega Sentinel makes this deck, which is a card I absolutely love. Whether it's C3 or Affliction, Omega Sentinel has been so good for me. It might be I wouldn't say it's my favorite card of the month. I think Moira X is probably going to be my favorite card of the month, but I do like Omega Sentinel a lot. So if you want to play some Affliction, you definitely can do it. This is going to help you rank up. Going to the 8th deck here, that's right, we have Namora and Frankie Raye Nova. Now, Frankie Raye Nova, I actually legitimately loved. And the deck that I had featured in the video for Marvel Snap altogether was similar to this, and I thought it performed well. And here is some evidence showcasing Namora doing great work with Frankie Raye Nova. Now, why does this work? No one's playing Shang-Chi right now because Shang-Chi was effectively removed from the meta, and for the most part, Shadow King's not being played either. Suddenly, Frankie Raye, Black Panther, Zola shenanigans with Namora works perfectly. Unironically, a 0.43 cube rate and 57% win rate. This is awesome. Lasher is low-key and absolute beauty in this deck, by the way. I absolutely love it. But long story short, if you want to play some Namora, yes, some Namora, now would be the time. It should be of no surprise to anybody that Khonshu is legit a big part of the meta. In terms of overall games played, I'm seeing more Khonshu right now than I've seen in the longest time, thanks in part, or primarily, due to the win from the Golden Gauntlet, right? And you're seeing a 58% win rate at a 0.35 cube rate, and honestly, I've always loved this card, and Khonshu has been making top 10 lists over the past couple months since its introduction. Obviously, Bullseye has been a major part of the meta, and these two decks, they're kind of like different versions of discard. You're not playing Khonshu and Bullseye discard, for instance. But overall, I do think that this deck represents a really good opportunity for someone who wants to play something that scratches the itch of what something like a traditional discard or dependable discard, as we used to call it. This is almost that. Although you do have some things like the Corvus Glaive and the Gambit, which can be a little tilt-inducing at times. One of the things I love about Corvus Glaive, though, is that when you use it, obviously you get the additional energy, and that allows you to play out your Scorn on turn 6, setting up your Apocalypse, and it gives you a little bit extra, so you can do the Khonshu and the Scorn, right? Which is kind of neat, and then have your Dracula pump off on the Apocalypse. So really like the design of this deck. I love the aggressiveness of Corvus and Gambit, and ultimately, if you want to play some discard, this is going to be the one that'll take you this week. Number 6, we do have a very solid performing shell, once again using the Wiccan, Domino, and Quicksilver combination, and this is the Heralds of Galactus. 58% win rate, 0.43 cube rate, excellent stats altogether. This here is again running speed. You got the Mobius and Mobius, which was untouched. One of the tech cards that was untouched by the OTAs was Mobius and Mobius, and of course you do have the Galactus First Steps. What's great about Galactus First Steps is you pretty much have a very consistent curve here. If you draw into Galactus opening hand, you got the Quicksilver Domino into your plethora of threes. One thing that I like about this deck a lot is it features the Cosmic Ghost Rider. With Red Guardian being absolutely punted in the Coco Schnutz, Cosmic Ghost Rider represents a very good tech piece, an excellent tech piece that you can use to do a lot of damage, specifically to Khonshu players and discard players relying on Bullseyes and obviously Draculas. I mean, it just claps cheeks. Cosmic Ghost Rider claps cheeks. And the other thing worth noting is that this performs well against discard because Lady Deathstrike will destroy Draculas too. So in terms of overall games played, Khonshu is seeing a really big uptick because of the Golden Gauntlet, and this deck is particularly well positioned to destroy that deck, because even the swarms don't get discounted because of the Mobius and Mobius and stuff like that, right? So there's a lot of good stuff happening with this deck. It's a really good meta call right now. There are better meta calls in terms of what you can be playing right now from a pure cube rate and win rate perspective, and we'll get to those shortly, but this still represents a very good option. Heralds of Galactus doing some good work. Coming in at number 5, we do have Zoo. I had discussed Zoo on my video just the other day here. Now, this here was a bit of an interesting take on Zoo, so I was excited to highlight it. It's running a 58% win rate and a 0.49 cube rate, which is astronomical. And it's running some absolute beauties like Black Cat. You do have Nebula in here, who honestly feels like a bit of a forgotten card right now, despite the fact that, has Nebula been power crept? Let's be honest. I think it's a really good card, but yeah, maybe it's just been power crept, honestly. And then you have the usual suspects here in Zoo. I do find Shauna to be irritating, though somewhat necessary to the Mockingbird and general strategy of playing these particular decks. But overall, I do find Zoo to be an excellent choice right now, with Killmonger essentially being deleted from the game. They did Killmonger so dirty that you can definitely play Zoo with confidence. And in terms of overall cube rate, win rate, this is going to be a top performing shell. If you want to play something more traditional, you can check out the video I did yesterday, which has a much more traditional take on Zoo. It had Herbie in there, which I thought was cool. I like Herbie, what can I say? Coming in at number 4, we do have Red Agahela. I try to merge the names a little bit. This has been such a standout deck ever since Redshift was released. 58% win rate, 0.55 cube rate. The cube rate does not get much better than that. What an absolutely beauty deck. And there's been a couple different iterations of this. There is an Eson version. Eson or Essen? I don't know, man. There's been an Eson version that's been seeing some play as well. However, that is statistically underperforming this one. It's also worth noting that this one does not run the Black Knight. Instead, you do have a Jubilee Blink combination here, which is kind of cool. Unironically, running Enchantress. Despite the changes to Enchantress, she's a 5/8 knight right now. Maybe still worth playing, considering how much Cerebro is still out there and stuff like that, right? So anyways, red Agahela, an excellent choice if you're looking to clap some cheeks in the meta. And that is going to take us into our top 3, and Nightmare is actually making it at a 59% win rate and a 0.42 cube rate. As more players start to experiment with Nightmare and decide, you know what, I'm going to give Nightmare a legitimate shot. This particular shell has actually increased in win rate since I discussed it literally a few days ago on my video. It was running a 56% win rate at that point, but had a really low sample size, and it looks like a bunch of you guys saw the video and obviously other coverage of this particular deck was like, hey, let's play some Nightmare. And know what you guys did? You won games and the win rate went up. It's doing really well. What I like about this deck too is it is running the Surtur shell. We will be talking about Surtur again momentarily, but it is just a solid list. And honestly, if you're gonna play Red Skull and you're gonna play Infinite, Nightmare is just a beauty, man. It's just an absolute beauty. At least it's not destroying the meta like some people had expected near its launch. And it launched as a 3-1. Now it's a 3-1. And it's finding its place. Now, obviously, without Shang-Chi being meta relevant because of the nerf, decks like this get to shine. Especially decks like this, which tend to, like, unironically have sometimes more than one 10-powered card in a lane, right? This is one of those decks where the nerfs to Shang-Chi's text can actually make a massive difference. So, Nightmare, pretty cool if you want to play something a little different, and if you want to make some noobs kneel with a Galactus/Infinite. This is your choice. Going to number 2 here, this is not number 2, that's number 4. Going to number 2 here, we have the end of turn. Yeah, it's a little cringe, but it's still good. And actually, here's the thing about it. It's pissing me off a little less because it's just less popular. People have kind of gotten over it, so to speak. However, what I will say is that with the nerf to Killmonger, you now have a deck that honestly is like, feels much less risky because you got the Sunspots ramping, obviously the Squirrel, but like Bobber, you got Black Cat, all those cards Skillmonger would deal with, right? Pretty effectively because you don't run any protection for those 1-drops. Now that Skillmonger's out, these cards get to ramp up very effectively. You still have the Havocs, you still have the Athenas. Obviously, Marvel Boy wants the 1-drops to pump, right? This even runs a Shauna. Can you believe this has a Shauna? It's actually a really interesting take on the general archetype. It still does the Invisible Woman Prodigy shenanigans. However, I actually thought like, got some Shauna gameplay here. I'm not totally against that. At least we have a little bit of a creative take on the end of turn. Running a 61% win rate and a 0.49 cube rate, which is going to take us to the number 1 deck of the week. And it is, my friends, I alluded to it, it's Surtur. We discussed it the other night as well. I played it on stream. I've been playing it on my own time as well. 63% win rate, 0.65 cube rate. Surtur without Shang-Chi is basically untouchable. Without Shang-Chi, Surtur is able to just pop the hell off. And that's what you see right now. And if I were to be ranking towards Infinite, I would probably play this. There's some cool decks out there. There's some decks out here that I think are more fun. And you can kind of like play those if you want. But if you want to like just straight up rank up, I mean, statistically, this is clapping cheeks. I only said that twice this video, okay? So don't get mad. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I love every one of you guys, and we'll see you on that next one.